Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Off Track TV. Along with Danny K, Dan Kapazinski, I'm the voice Shane Andrews, coming to you from our cozy confines in Weedsport, New York. And Dan, the weather has been cooperating a little bit here, but it's still not good enough to go racing here in the Northeast.
No, I'm still jealous. You were down in Florida for 5 days.
You like my tan?
I don't want to hear about it. No, I don't.
I really didn't get one.
I despise it, to be honest with you. No, but at least you were down there to check out some racing that we're going to highlight here in a little bit. The weather finally warming up a little, although it sounds like this weekend we might be in for some more snow, unfortunately, but it'll be race day before you know it here in Central New York.
Absolutely, and we've got some hot action to help melt that snow away here tonight on this episode of Off Track TV. Hey, we invite everybody to send us your comments, also send us your questions, because at the end of the show, Dan and I will tackle those. You can submit or some comments and submit your questions on our Facebook video, or you can send it to info@weedsportproductions.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter at nyvoice13.
I'm at Dan_Kapasinski. I'll try to spell it for you, but hopefully they'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's spelled with a K. Right. That's right.
There you go.
How do you spell that? With a D? Dan.
Right,
D-A-N.
exactly.
Yeah. I've never even tried to spell it. Took me this long to figure out how to say it.
Right? No kidding.
Well, we've got some great action coming your way here in just a moment. And as Dan mentioned, Florida, the Dirt Car Nationals down at the Volusia Speedway Park. Dan, you've been down to this event in the past. It's one of those must-to-get-to events to start out the season.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of the things I miss the most about not working in motorsports full-time anymore is going down and checking out that whole the Speed Week scene. There's a lot going on, of course, between the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, late models, and the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds. It's a perfect way to get that first taste of the upcoming racing season.
Well, I don't want to rub it in, Dan, but I will tell you this, that the weather down there this year was absolutely gorgeous. It was 80-plus degrees every day except for one day. We did have some rain on one of the nights that did send us back a little bit, but we did get all the racing in 5 nights of Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified action.
That's great. And 12 straight nights of racing overall. I think I went to Florida 3 different times. We only had one of those years where we made it totally through the entire 2 weeks of racing, so that's great to see.
What do you say we take a look at some of the action from the Dirt Car Nationals for 2020 with the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds? We'll start it out night number 1. 36 cars in attendance, down to 26 cars for a 30-lap battle. Matt Williamson and Brett Hearn up on the front row by virtue of a heads-up start by winning their heat races, and the defending Super Dirt Car Series champion out of St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, wasting no time jumping out to the front of the pack. Here we see Matt Shepard, the 44 of Anthony Perego, and the 25 of Eric Rudolph doing battle early on in this event as Perego out of Montgomery, New York, taking the low side to get around the Shepard number 9S and moving up to position number 3 as he gives chase after the 25 of Rudolph. But out in front, it was all Matt Williamson working through traffic here on the 23 of Kyle Coffey and the Jesse Mueller 19. These guys ended the season on a high note in 2019 and came out of the box awfully strong here for night number 1 of the Dirt Car Nationals as he goes wire to wire, picking up the 30-lap feature event. That was his first Florida win for Matt Williamson, the first time that he picked up a Gator at the Dirt Car Nationals, and he'll celebrate in Victory Lane with the Buzz Chew Racing number 88.
Great to see Matt Williamson start things off like he finished 2019. Night number 2, Brett the Jet Hearn, Lightning Larry White up there in row number 1. You can see just behind on the outside, rolling the top side of the racetrack. That's the 44 of Stuart Friesen. Friesen was trying to make some headway early on in this one, managed to find his way underneath Hearn here early on, about 5 laps into this race out of turn 4. Next, he would try to give chase to the leader, Larry White. White flag already in the air in this one. Friesen did a good job to try to chase down Larry in the closing stages of this race, but Larry, who of course won the DCN title a year ago, was looking to try to go back-to-back and got off to a great start here on night number 2. Crosses the stripe as the winner of the night number 2 feature down at Volusia. Stuart Friesen in the runner-up spot. Williamson, who of course got the win on night 1, back on the podium in night number 2 as Lightning Larry does his first roof dance of the week with daughter Audrey down here in Volusia.
Well, that was the first Gator of the week for the number 99L. Could he make it 2 in a row as he will start on the outside of the front row next to Rick Laubach for night number 3 for the Dirt Car Nationals and the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds. And Larry picking right up where he left off at the end of the 30-lap feature the night before, and that is out in front using the top side to get around the Laubach number 7 is Mike Mareskin, the orange number 7, sitting back there in position number number 3. And Larry would find his groove early on, and he would keep it. Here he is working through the traffic once again, this time going after the number 23 of Kyle Coffey, working that middle groove off the turn, using it to his advantage, as with 1 to go on the world's fastest half mile, as they say, Lightning was unbeatable. When you find your groove and you know where it is and you have momentum on your side, you use it to your advantage. 2 in a row for Lightning Larry White.
Well, the question after night number 3 was, could he make it 3 in a row? And once again, this time it was going to be a little bit of a harder effort for Lightning Larry in that number 99 machine. Rick Laubach in the number 7 jumped out to the early lead here on night number 4 for the big block. Super Matt Shepard running in the second spot. Billy Decker early on in this one was going to be the driver to beat. Looked as though he was going to be on his way to victory, but Billy found himself locked to the bottom side of the racetrack behind the lap machine, the 23 of Kyle Coffey. That allowed Larry to go to the outside of the racetrack, and Billy would stay committed to the bottom side. We'll see here out of corner number 2, the 91 machine again locked in on the back bumper of the 23 down the backstretch. Billy starts to make a little bit of a bid to the outside, but not high enough. Larry goes the extra mile to the outside onto the cushion in turn 3. It's able to find his way by to get out in front, and once again, 3 nights in a row, another $3,000 paycheck for Lightning Larry White.
The grand finale of the Dirt Car Nationals, 50 laps for the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds, $5,000 to win. And not only was the money on the line, but it was also the night where we would crown the Dirt Car Nationals champion, and Larry White and Matt Williamson and Billy Decker all in that dogfight to see who would get that elusive Gator trophy. Matt Williamson, the winner on opening night, drew the pole in the draw, and he would jump out to the number 1 spot with Jimmy Phelps in the 98H giving chase as they worked their way around the Volusia Speedway Park. Williamson would be on cruise control in this one, as he would have no issue running away and hiding from the rest of the pack, as Matt Williamson would bookend the Dirt Car Nationals, not only picking up the win on night number 1, but picking up the win in the 50-lap $5,000 to win finale at the 49th edition of the Dirt Car Nationals at Volusia Speedway Park. So at the end of that 50-lapper, Williamson may have won the battle, but it was Larry White picking up the Gator Championship for the 2nd year in a row, bringing it back to Phoenix, New York.
That's right, and overall for 5 days of racing, a pretty good payday, a little over $10,000 of bringing home for both Matt Williamson and Larry White for 5 days of action down there at Volusia. We'll talk to Larry a little bit when he joins us here momentarily, but the track conditions a little bit different than I think people were normally accustomed to down there at Volusia.
Yeah.
Racing still very good. A little bit of a different action, but great racing top to bottom.
Absolutely. A little bit of a bump there going into turn number 1 and 2 that the drivers had to contend with. And you know, when you have 12 nights of racing, when you have all those sprint cars that were there, whether it was the All-Stars or the Outlaws, you had the super late models there, and you had the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings, World of Outlaw late models, along with the big blocks. There was a lot of racing, 12 straight nights. So you know you're going to have some bumps and dents here and there. Overall, though, I thought it was a spectacular week for the Super Dirt Car Series, and looking forward to getting back down there in 2021.
For sure. Maybe I can make my reservations now.
You should. And while you're at it, let's just schedule a golf game as well.
I'm up. Let's do it.
All right. Coming up next here on Off Track TV, we are going to be joined by the Dirt Car Nationals Gator champion, the driver of the number 99L. Lightning will strike right here at the port.
Weedsport Speedway is home of the fastest cars and biggest stars. With over $1 million in recent upgrades, our fans know this is the premier race destination in the Northeast. The fan experience is at the forefront of everything we do. LED light shows, luxury suites, premium stadium seating, and a 27-foot HD video display to engage and entertain fans. And by the way, our fans, our fans kick ass. They are committed and loyal. They bring their families to races. They consistently engage with us over social media, on our website, and tune into our incredible productions airing on national TV and streaming online. This year features an exciting season of events. It's a blast to go fast. Want to talk to a growing audience and next-generation fans? Customized sponsorship opportunities make it super easy. We have event sponsorships, product sponsorships, digital billboards, web, social, digital ads, race day displays and signage, booths and promotions. Video opportunities both in venue, on national TV, and streaming online. The drivers, the excitement, the speed. The Port Burgers are why fans show up. At Weedsport Speedway, our venue and production are the reason they keep coming back. Be a part of the best season yet.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com now to learn more.
Welcome back to Off Track TV Live, along with Dan Kapazinski. I'm Shane Andrews, and joining us here in studio tonight, the 2020 Dirt Car Nationals Gator champion from Phoenix, New York, the driver of the number 99L, Lightning Larry White. Larry, welcome to the set. First and foremost, congratulations on that championship down in Florida. What a way to start out the racing season.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps get the ball rolling, get the morale going, and it's a lot more fun to go down there and win than to not do that.
What's the talk about getting the ball rolling? It's not often that big block modified racers get to run necessarily 5 nights in a row under the same conditions, same racetrack. When were you finally really feeling it? When did you think I think we could really go on a pretty big run down here and put together 3 in a row or maybe 4 in a row?
The first night, I think we definitely had a good car. We just missed the setup just a little bit, and we were just a little too tight. And once we knew how to get that out of the car early on Wednesday during qualifying, we definitely felt we had a fast piece.
Right.
How difficult, and you say you missed it just by a little bit, and I guess the best way that I can relate to it is the sweet spot on a golf club when you hit that golf driver just right and you know it. Did you have to make a lot of adjustments to get it back, or was it just a little tweak here and a little tweak there?
No, it was just a few minor adjustments with now that we're on coils, just playing with the coils, changing the rates a little bit here, a little bit there. We got the spring smasher in the trailer that allows us to fine-tune it and make those very minute changes.
We hear guys talk all the time, at least on the sprint car side, that going to Volusia is something a little bit different. It's not something that they're necessarily accustomed to. How does that translate to the big block modified? Is there a track locally that you could kind of compare to a Volusia, or is it something that's really kind of out on its own island?
No, there's really no track in New York like that place. There's nowhere here you can hold it wide open all night long. Even when it slickens off, we're still just wide open around there because it's just, shape-wise, it's similar to Brewerton, but just 3 times the size.
Sure. That's right up your alley, though, right? Hold it wide open?
Yeah. We excel on that.
We laugh about that, holding it wide open, but over the last couple of years, Larry, your driving style has actually changed a little bit. Have you had to adapt because of the tracks or the cars, or just a little bit of everything?
We've definitely had to adapt for the track. To run up front at the end of the race, you got to be there. And maybe I finally hit the wall hard enough and knocked some sense into me. But there's a lot of races that we really threw away from burning tires off too soon or getting ourselves into a lap traffic situation that we had to relinquish the lead, and just learning from it, having Pat Ward and Billy Decker in my corner for so many years and learning from them. They were able to follow me in a long race, and then when they passed me, they could come in and tell me what I did wrong of why they caught back up to me.
Well, along that vein, it seems like maybe Super Dirt Week at Oswego, that win was sort of like you turned the corner a little bit after that. It seemed like more of these big, longer races, you were there after that. I'm sure that had to have been quite a confidence booster to get that win under your belt.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a lot of really close calls at the Fulton 200
Sure.
where, I think we've got 2 or 3 top threes there. And one year we came from 45th to 3rd. And, it's just all those big races that we don't really get a lot of anymore. Like I remember growing up and there'd be 10 or 12 200 lappers.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot of 100 lappers, but that 200 deal, that's a whole animal on its own.
Sure.
Joining us here in studio, Larry White, Dirt Car Nationals champion for 2020, Super Dirt Week champion. Now that's a title that no one's ever going to be able to take away. How big was that for you and your family to win at Oswego for Super Dirt Week, to put your name on the list of only 20 some odd drivers?
Oh, that was a huge accomplishment. Going to Super Dirt Week pretty much my whole life, and Billy Decker winning it with our team, and then for me to put my hat on there and stand on the car with my father was just a huge accomplishment.
Oh, that was a cool picture too.
Yeah, to get that for him, for everything he's given me the opportunities to do, it just made it all that much sweeter.
Well, that certainly puts your name on the map, but you're doing some other things lately that are putting your name on the map too, one of which is becoming, I don't know that we ever knew we would say this, but sort of a Chili Bowl regular, almost like a Chili Bowl, essentially kind of a household name lately, when it kind of like that Tim McCready status, when you go to the Chili Bowl, guys know to look out for you. What has that experience been like top to bottom?
Oh, it's an amazing experience, to go down there where nobody knows what a modified even is.
Sure.
And to race with guys that are running anywhere from, 600 micros at a short track all the way up to NASCAR, and to run with them and compete with them. It's a huge accomplishment, I think, to our series of modified guys to show that we are some of the best racers in the country. We can go all the way over there and still compete in a car that a lot of us, we get in it once a year.
Don't know anything about. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're making some noise when you follow on Twitter like we have to back here in the Northeast, and you've got the Cup guys that are on there. Watch Larry White. I can't wait to see his heat race. So representing out there in the Chili Bowl. And this past weekend, you were racing down in Trenton, and as Dan mentioned, you probably would have been the story of the race, coming from was it the D up to the up to a top 5 finish?
Yeah. We had a really good car down there. Had a couple bugs we had to work out of it, and it was more me trying to get comfortable in the car so I could tell the crew what I wanted different, and I think by the time we got to Saturday, I was comfortable, and Luke and Kenny, they knew what I needed, and we were able to put the car together, and we missed the setup a little bit once we got to the A, and I think that was from just we were racing every race up to it. But it was a phenomenal run. I was proud of it. The guys were happy, and hopefully we can put a deal together and do it again next year with Luke.
I know running the D main was not your goal. It was not the plan. But do you think maybe having that little bit of a run going for a little bit might have actually helped you towards the end?
Yeah, it definitely got me more comfortable in the car.
Yeah.
How hard you can really throw it into the corner, how much they'll take to stick and slide, and it's a really neat track. The track crew did a really good job. There's just a couple little holes that really upset the car because it's so small.
Right.
But I think that they really got a good thing going, and hopefully Lenny put something together for Syracuse to get dirt up here too.
I was actually kind of interested in, not knowing much about the 600 micro scene. Was there any correlation at all between driving the midget and trying to get that car around, or was it really just two different ends of the spectrum?
Yeah, there's really not much similar. The midgets are making 400 horsepower. These are only 140.
Sure.
They weigh the same, and with these, you kind of sit in them almost like a mod light or a late model, where your feet are straight out forward.
I see.
Versus
sitting
up, sitting up like a sprint car.
Yep. Interesting.
The last night of the Dirt Car Nationals in that 50-lapper, LJL Racing had a very good showing. Billy was 5th, you were 6th, Pat was 7th. You guys really hit on something that night. And this is going to lead into a question that Joe Grabanowski sent us that he's interested in knowing. How different are the setups in each of the race cars for the LJL Racing team? Could you jump into Billy's car without making any adjustments? And could Pat jump into the 99L, or are they different?
They are different. Every driver has their own feel that they're looking for. We actually help Pat and Billy out with some stuff that we were testing with that seemed to be working well, and I think it definitely helped their cars out. And but I know there's no way Pat's jumping in my car because he doesn't like that bouncing around and, on the verge of getting on two wheels, where I get a little bit more aggressive with the setup on my car. And Billy, we're probably more similar as far as, getting the car so we can run up on the cushion if we need to. But there's, slight differences in the shock package, a little bit in the spring, but as far as the car when it's built, they're identical.
And if Decker was to jump into 42P, he'd have to move the seat back a little bit. He's a little taller than Pat.
Oh, I've done that. I had to move the pedals forward. I had to move the steering wheel up. We jumped in at Utica Rome. I was coming to crew chief for him, and there was, I think, 16 cars, and he talked me into taking his backup car out, and we went and won the race.
That's funny. Well, we talk about going to Florida all the time being a good way to kickstart the season, so you've got to be feeling pretty good about 2020 and everything you have coming up.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be in the Gary Simpson 12K car again, running the Deo South Series.
Yep.
We're in the process of building the car for the North Series. And going to try and hit that. It seems like there's a lot of opportunities on the table in that series. And, racing places we've never been to before, like Port Royal, and don't really get to go to Delaware much.
Right.
So
Right.
pretty neat to experience that. And, as far as the Dirt Series goes, they've got some stuff that they're not sure if they're going to release it or not on some more rule changes. And, there's a group of us that are kind of trying to stand firm, and if these rule changes come, might not be on the Dirt Series this year. It's some of the stuff where, they're trying to limit us on the chassis and our spring combinations, and, it really kind of irks us because the modified division is modified for a reason,
Right.
The innovation of the sport. And, we spent a lot of time and during the race season, during the winter, to get our stuff there, like Matt Williamson with those guys having a phenomenal run. And it's tough when all of a sudden you're running good and they pull the reins back and make you change your whole setup.
Right.
Well, not just the racing, but you've also got a couple of other irons in the fires. Obviously, your involvement with the family tracks of Brewerton and Fulton Speedway, and also your trucking company is really taken off. I see your dump trucks down in my neck of the woods all the time. So
Yep.
You've really got a lot of things going on. You got to balance the family, the business, and the racing. How do you continue to do it?
Really, it all starts at home. Having my wife Brooke and my daughter Audrey, she allows me to do everything I need to do, and keep an eye on Audrey. And there's some late nights I don't get home, not necessarily from the race shop, but from the truck shop. When we have some issues there, and there's days I got to jump in the truck and drive, and it's something that I've loved doing. I've grown up doing it, riding in the truck with my dad, and now there's times where he jumps in and rides with me, and tries to tell me what I'm doing wrong, but that's normal.
So you're going to get Audrey in a race car? You're going to put her in a sprint? What's the plans?
Well, it's totally up to her, but I've pretty much made the determination that when she's gets to be 4, almost 5, plan on taking her over to the fairgrounds,
Nice.
put her in a mic rod, right where I started with Roger Phelps, and if she likes it, we'll go as far as she wants to go with it.
I'm pretty much positive that I announced the very first Larry White mic rod race. I think I was only 15 or 16 years old, but I was up in the booth doing the races, and I remember your dad and Roger and everybody showing up with your 99 mic rod, red
Yep.
mic rod out there.
I still got it.
Tearing it up. So
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am because I announced his first slingshot win
Hopefully-
at Utica Rome.
Yeah, it was the
hopefully
best
she'll,
interview you had.
It was the best
First
interview.
driver that thanked himself, right?
Exactly. I'll tell you, if I ever get inducted into a Hall of Fame, that is in my speech.
There you go.
Larry, thanks for coming out tonight. We know you got a lot of things going on. We appreciate you taking time. Congratulations on the wins down there in Florida, 3 in a row. Look forward to seeing you out here in Central New York in 2020, and all the best.
Absolutely. We're going to hit it as hard as we can, and thank you guys doing stuff like this to help broaden our fan base, and hopefully we see more of this.
Hopefully Audrey will be out there rubbing doors with Michael. We
Yeah.
can rub elbows out there in the infield.
When we return here on Off Track TV Live, we are going to answer your questions. Don't be shy. Dan and I are up to the challenge. A big thanks to Larry White for coming in again. More when we return.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com now to learn more.
Welcome back to Off Track TV Live as Larry White was in the house and never disappoints. Always a pleasure to talk to Larry.
You know, and it's been great. Larry's one of those guys, you know, we talked to Chris Heil last time we were around, just one of those youngsters from the Central New York area that keeps moving up and doing modified racing right.
Absolutely.
You know, promoting
Absolutely.
the sport to a T.
And representing it well. You know, when he goes out to the Chili Bowls, we mentioned in our interview that people are on Twitter or they're on Facebook talking about the excitement that Larry White brings.
Yep.
That just draws the attention to what the modified division has to offer here in the Northeast.
It sure does. It puts those eyes up in the Northeast, like you said, Shane. People see Larry White's name, now Stuart Friesen, guys of that nature. It's only raising the game of the action that we have around here in the Northeast that we all know is fantastic,
right.
But it's finally spreading south out to the west, and it's just great to see. And it's really a nod to the race teams that we have in this area, and obviously the fantastic drivers.
A big thanks to Joe Grabanowski sending in a question, and a big thanks to everybody that reached out to
Definitely.
us tonight. You up for a couple?
I am. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Action Figure 22 wants to know, what racing legend or personality, living or past, would you want to have a beer with?
A beer?
Yeah.
I would have jumped right up and said Jimmy Champagne. For everybody at home, I'm a huge Oswego Speedway guy. But if it's to sit down and have a beer with, I'm going to go over to Richie Evans. I think that would be fantastic to hang out with Richie and talk. And one of the drivers that, unfortunately, I never had a chance to see race. I've heard amazing stories and tales of Richie and the things that he did, and I think that would be quite a guy to sit down with.
You know, as I think about this question and I'm put on the spot, the first person that comes to my mind that I would want to have a beer with would be Mario Andretti.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and the reason I say this is when I'm driving down the road and I have my mom or whoever with me and they feel like I'm driving a little bit quick, they'll say, okay, slow down, Mario. And while I was having the beer with them, I'd ask them, Mr. Andretti, when you're driving down the road and your wife feels you're driving too fast, does she look over and say, slow down, Shane Andrews? Okay, I'd just be curious in knowing that.
Oh,
you know?
man.
Because it's synonymous. It's just synonymous.
Yep.
And I just think he would be a cool guy to have a beer
Certainly
with.
is.
And Richie Evans, that would be a
For
good
sure.
one, too.
Put all of us together.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Don't do it on a Tuesday night. We may not see you on a Wednesday.
Exactly.
Gasman Johnny asked, based on what you saw in Florida, who do you think is going to be the driver to beat on the Super Dirt Car Series in 2020?
Oh, wow. A lot of guys showed great consistency, right, Shane? I mean, obviously Matt Williamson and Larry White did all the winning. Eric Rudolph was up front quite a bit. Matt Shepard had his moments. Jimmy Phelps came on late. I guess I'll just go right off the top and I'll pick Matt Williamson just because I think that he was on a great bit of momentum from last year. Obviously showed very well in Volusia. And I would say those guys are consistently up front more than anybody else right now.
I think it's tough to really put your thumb on one driver.
It is.
You know, based on what I saw down there as well, I can't disagree with Matt Williamson. Those guys came out of the box awfully quick. You know, the night that they didn't finish in the top three, they were awfully dejected and disappointed.
Sure.
I mean, they had a very good race car. Larry White, 99L, won 3 in a row. I think he's going to be in contention.
Sure.
Matt Shepard's always going to be in the thick of that thing. But you know who's a really good points runner? And he came on towards the end of last year is Billy Decker.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard, like you said, hard to put a thumb on one person. You don't even think about Billy Decker until the last second. That just shows you how deep the field is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we've got time for one quick one here. James the Hockey Man wants to know, Dan, you racing in Syracuse, and who's going to win that TQ championship?
Oh, I will be racing Syracuse both nights, Friday and Saturday in the Champ Kart division. The TQs, Champs, and Slingshots will be running both nights. Who's going to win the championship? I'm going to go with Andy J. I think that he... I don't want to say that he's turned a corner, but he and Eric Rudolph have definitely been the two guys to beat. Andy J had some good runs in Syracuse last year. Well, I'm going to look for Andy J to pull down the championship.
I can disagree with that. Andy J is awfully good, especially at Syracuse. Dan, we've got to wrap things up and say goodbye to everybody, but the next time you and I will be on air with Off Track TV, Saturday, March 14th, live at the Motorsports Expo at noon in Syracuse.
Yeah, a nooner.
That's
right.
right.
At the Center of Progress building. We're looking forward to that, and we'll be talking to some different drivers, getting things wrapped up and showing you everything that's going on for the Expo the entire weekend. Look forward to that as always.
Come out and say hello to Dan and I and our whole Weedsport production team. For everybody here behind the scenes, my name is the voice, Shane Andrews, for Danny K, Dan Kapazinski. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Off Track TV.